Why are you even thinking like that? Like you're only hurting yourself. And baby, let me tell you, this world will hurt you. Life is full of disappointment. It's full of discouragement, full of disrespect. Why do it to yourself? Do yourself a favor and be your best friend. Journaling has changed my life. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Melina here, and I'm in a transitional period right now. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how journaling helped me understand my inner child and how it's helping me heal. I want to explain why I started to journal. So I started to journal because there was a period in my life where I was getting triggered a lot, and it was just like constantly like negative spirals, and I just didn't understand, and I just did not like that cycle. It wasn't healthy, and I was trying to fix something that I didn't know. I was trying to like see what was wrong with me, but I feel like I didn't have the tools. I feel like I was walking into a dark room trying to find something, because it's just like what is wrong with me. It was frustrating not knowing how to change something because you don't know who you are. It messed with me because like for the longest time I'm thinking, why is this happening? Why is this cycle of negativity repeating itself? What's going on? Why am I like this? That's what I would ask myself, like, what's going on here? And it wasn't until like I feel like I'm in my season of isolation, and I also wanted to do a video on that as well. It wasn't until I really got to sit down and just really have a deep dive within myself and really just reconstruct my thoughts and really just go through everything and be like, just not gonna say like lay out the format, but it was like I had to lay out the format of like me. I had to like go back to the very beginning and just like dissect myself. I would really like be sitting in my dorm room and just like looking at the ceiling and thinking, why am I the way I am? Why did I do that? Why do I think like this? What caused me to do that? You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't until, I don't know, you really hit rock bottom and there's really nowhere else but to go but up. So that's kind of how I felt about the whole thing, you know? Dang, I really can't see myself. This is crazy, y'all. Dang. Why did my water taste like noodle water? That whole dissecting myself and like figuring out, like trying to connect the dots, that didn't happen until like later. That didn't happen until like recently, like right now. But going back to the beginning, I just did not understand what was going on with me. And I feel like in that moment it's a different type of hopeless. I'll say that. And I wasn't really like close in my faith at the time. I just didn't have nothing stable. I didn't have no type of structure to lean on, even on myself, even like role model wise. Like y'all, I felt hopeless. So to be like, how do I fix this, and not literally knowing where to start, or how do I change this and not knowing who you are, baby, it's, what is the word when you, it's discouraging. That's what it was. And even once you understand it, knowing is one thing, but actually doing something is a totally different battle, right? Eventually, I started to journal because I seen that it was helping people, and people got to really understand themselves and their inner child, and they got to really like heal and be more self-aware. So I'm thinking this is something that I need to do. Like I have to, I need to. It's something that I want to do because I want to be better for me, because I just feel like the best support system that you will have will come from yourself. Everything from that point was like, it was like basic level. I started off just journaling everything that happened in my life daily, and then I started to stop, and I started to only journal when I felt like overstimulated, because I realized when I journal every day, everything didn't happen every day, and I'm just writing to write, and like I feel like you have to see what works for you. So me journaling when I felt overstimulated really helped, because that to me was like that's where I was going to find the meat of the problem, right? When I got triggered, I wrote down what happened or why I felt a certain way. When I felt that the little twitch in my body, that's the best way I can explain it. That's when I started to write down every small detail. That's when I started to type it down, write it down. I either use my iPad or I actually used my like journal, and that's where I just felt like that works for me. When I feel overstimulated, I will write. Sometimes writing, if I go like halfway like let's say a page halfway into my journal, that's how I know it was intense, because I will actually stop journaling and I will just talk to myself. Now, if it's too much, I'll talk to myself, but then baby, I start praying. Baby, it get a little bit too rough. I start praying. So yeah. Yeah, you have to really find out what works for you, and that just worked for me. It just worked for me. And I feel like my books or my journal and my iPad and my notes is just something that was very intimate to me, because with them, that's, I know that they're not gonna run and tell anybody. It's very like sacred, it's very like intimate, it's very like, this is me, and it's very private. You know, I had a diary, but when I was like younger, but y'all, it wasn't the same. And plus, I used to share my diary to everybody, so it wasn't really secrets in there. It was like public information. It was like a public book. But the journal, that was, my journals and stuff is just very intimate, very sacred. It's something that I have to myself, and it's nice, you know. That's something that I can trust, you know. When I felt overstimulated, I needed to write something. I needed something just not being up in my head, so I wrote it down. Things that I didn't want to tell other people, I wrote it down. As I got into like my season of isolation that I'm in right now, I just started to realize stuff started to make sense. The dots started getting connected. Oh my God, is that the kitty? Like I said, season of isolation is when everything really starts like, oh. But as I was writing it down before like me going to college, I would realize like small stuff. Like it was like a little splat, like on the picture, a little area of the painting, and I would just be like, okay, I'm not really looking at the bigger picture, but I'm thinking something is starting to make sense. You know what I'm talking about? Before I started to journal, like I said, I felt like there was a hole in me. After journaling, like I said, a picture was being made, everything was coming together. This is where I feel like my inner child starts to come in. So nights in college, once I like entered the season of really like being by myself, I started to realize something. I started to realize that I was projecting fear. I was starting to realize my mindset. I feel like that's when I found out it's important about what I give my energy to, because it will either make or break you. And I just remember being up in my room and thinking, I'm afraid. And I'm like, but why? The inner child in me is afraid. Even like now, sometimes I feel very guilty about things. I feel like I realized I was always hard on myself, and I realized that I feel like I was always disappointing people. Always. And that word always like got to me, because it made me seem like I was becoming lower of myself, or my worth was like dropping when people say that they were disappointing in me, because to me it made me realize that they held me up to a higher standard, and I did not make that threshold. I was not high on that pedestal. I was indeed lower. So to me, I was very small. And I remember at that young age, I would just be like, I would always just try to prove myself. I always felt like I had to prove myself for other people. And I feel like I always had to be good at something. So I would really try to do good like in school, because I wanted to hear praise. Because a lot of the time I heard a lot of opposite of that. You know, I heard like I wasn't really like worth anything. And you know, when you hear a lot of that, you start to believe it. And there was just some times where I think that, I don't know, I felt like I was like a chess piece in my life, and I didn't feel as important. And I don't know, sometimes it felt like I was not in my body. That's the best way how I can explain it. It's really weird, but yeah. Self-sabotage is something that I do because it gives me an illusion of self-control. That's something that I read, and it's like it best explains like why it happens. Because to me, it gives me a sense of like I'm in control. I know what's going to happen, so we need to do this. And me seeing like I knew that was going to be the outcome. Like I knew it. Like I just knew it was going to happen. Like we have to do this because this is going to happen. So you do not enter that room that is possibly filled with possibilities of like greatness. You don't do that, because with greatness comes like, you know, it's fair share of disappointment. But you know that if you go in there, you're going to be disappointed. You only focus in on like the negativity, not really on the positives, you know? Self-sabotage is making you believe that you know what's going to happen. Like I said, does that make sense? I feel like it's weird to explain it, but yeah. But key points that I started to realize as I started to think in my season of isolation was my emotions. I realized that I'm not my emotions, and I realized when I'm sad, I'm not going to always be sad, and to feel them and to let them pass. So when I felt down, I thought it was like, I'm not going to say it was like the end of the world or stuff like that, but I don't want to feel like this all the time. And I used to think it was something wrong. I used to think feeling sad was weak. I used to think that it was less than. I used to think that if I feel sad all the time, Cat, come on now. Don't play. Don't play. What you doing? I used to think feeling like that was just, you're not good enough. You're not weak. I mean, you're weak. That's what I thought. And I realized, no, it's just a part of being human. You know, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. And to know that my emotions are simply emotions and nothing more, don't really have a hold on me. It's nice to know that. And that's something that I got from my book. So yeah. And then my mindset. I feel like my mindset with a lot of things was, my mindset, it was always like negative. It was always negative because I never wanted myself to get too happy to the point where if it wasn't something, oh, it was going to crush me. If I even gave myself too much hope, it would crush me knowing that it's not that. If it wasn't specifically what I was thinking to a T, baby, I was going to be sad. So I've always tried to be like, just expect the worst. Don't even let in the light. Just expect the worst. Because if light does come, then it will feel 10 times better. But I just realized it's not very healthy to constantly live in a state of negativity. It's just not nice at all. If anything, it always feels like my chest hurts when I live like that. And I just didn't like it. So when you switch your mindset around, this is when life starts to feel a little bit different. When you really start to just change your whole perception on life, even when you make mistakes, even when life does not go your way, when you really turn it around into like a positive one, like, well, everything happens for a reason. Well, now you're growing. Well, now you know not to do that anymore. Or that wasn't what we were meant to do. It's fine. It's okay. You're human. Like, you don't have to be perfect. It's okay if you're not doing all right. It's normal to not be okay. You don't It's just a lot of stuff where now I change my mind. And now it's just like certain things happen and it's like that doesn't dictate my value. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and being aware of yourself, I will say, like, I'm more aware of myself than what I was earlier this year. And I feel like it can suck very badly, especially if you're still in that period where you're trying to change it and you just don't understand. It's very frustrating. But I like being aware of myself because the way how my mind operates, it pays attention to detail. And when I realize something, it's like I really want to try to work on it. And I feel like I feel like the space that I'm in right now, it's really like calm. I'm taking everything a day at a time, and the path that I'm on, I'm gonna be okay. But this is when I started to realize that it really is myself versus myself. Like, there is just certain thoughts where I understand that I'm trying to, it's like, are you trying to protect yourself or are you trying to hurt yourself? Like, literally up in my dorm room, I literally caught myself with a thought. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Thinking like that. Why are you even thinking like that? What purpose does it serve? Like, you're only hurting yourself. And baby, let me tell you, this world will hurt you. Why are you going to make it more hard on yourself doing it to you? You know what I'm talking about? Like, life is full of disappointment. It's full of discouragement, full of disrespect. Why do it to yourself? Do yourself a favor and be your best friend. I feel like if you really believe in yourself, you can be your greatest supporter. It's not even funny. When you believe that you can do anything that you put your mind to, when you believe that you're worth something, when you believe that you deserve a lot of like positivity, a lot of happiness, when you feel like you deserve that, baby, everything feels different. You start to not tolerate a lot of like BS too, so that's nice. But everything feels different. But out of all the things that I've like known, I just realized that my inner child is scared and she needs attention, and I feel like she needs a hug. So there's times where I'm afraid, and I kind of have to just tell myself it's going to be okay, and that I'm not alone, and that I'm going to be okay. And that now that I have like a roadmap and kind of have a basic understanding of why I am the way I am, how I put people before me, and that's fine to be. I consider myself to be very like selfless. That's cool, but you have to have love from yourself, you know, because if you don't have love, you don't have anything. Like you have to have it within yourself to give it. I feel like that's very important, and I feel like I ripped out my heart, and I feel like I've given it to a lot more people and not really spent the time with myself and spent the time to love myself and to understand myself. Because even like getting in, like, you know, I've been, you know, research has really helped me like to love myself, but I didn't really understand myself. And spending time with yourself is like a sign of, you know, it's a love language. And I feel like I didn't do that. I feel like I needed distractions because I did not want to see my demons. I didn't want to be in a room with my thoughts. I didn't want to uncover that because I knew it was a harsh truth. It was a harsh truth that when I tell myself it now, I know it's not like we working towards it, but the harsh truth was I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. I thought I did, but no, I didn't. I didn't think I was worthy of love. I didn't think I was worthy of kindness. I didn't think I was worth being gentle to. I thought I was small. I thought that I was so low that I don't deserve human decency. It's really weird to say it out loud, but yeah, that was, my cat is in the background. I'm so sorry, y'all. But that was like the thing. I felt small and I didn't feel like I deserved anything. Yeah, but journaling has really made a roadmap for me. It really made me see the bigger picture, and just sitting and then really thinking about myself and being like, okay, and connecting my dots and being like, you self-sabotage yourself because you want to be in control, because without control, you don't know what will happen. And because you don't know what happened, the one thing that you hate and despise will consume you: fear, because you have no control. You're afraid of being forgotten. You're afraid because you're small and you don't feel like you're good enough. You're afraid because you don't think that you can offer people something. You know, that's how I see it. I'm afraid. And it's just like telling my inner child, like, no, like, you're okay. Yeah. I feel like my inner self wants to know what's going on because it gives you a sense of security, and that's just something that you're not going to have. It's just not guaranteed. You want to know stuff because it's safe, but I feel like that's why mindset really matters, and that's why fear can really mess you up, because fear of the unknown is scary, because fear of the unknown, you have no control. And what's one thing everybody wants? It's control, you know? I don't know. That's late night thoughts. That's how I feel. Right now, I'm just kind of learning stuff about myself and just being like, oh, don't do that. With uncertainty comes positives and negatives. It's like yin and yang. There's going to be some bad stuff, but there's going to be some beautiful stuff as well. And you have to be willing to take the risk, or you will be stuck in a place where you cannot grow into a better individual. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Has journaling helped y'all in any way and form? Have you ever thought about journaling? Is it something that works for you? No, yes. Sometimes if I don't journal, I will actually do like, I want to say it's kind of like journaling art. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, you should subscribe. And yeah, bye.